Guys, I would like to once again talk about this Biya drama of the national dialogue. The only reason I'm coming back to this story, it's a bit, actually for some kind of humor, more or less. Uh, 2 days 2 days ago, Mark Barata published um, a supposed invitation by La République to Cameroon of so many Ambazonian comrades to participate in their national dialogue. According to Paul Biya and his advisors, this national dialogue has the potential to resolve a genocidal war that he declared on the people of Ambazonia and has been occupying their country for the 37 years of his presidency. The Southern Cameroon's Ambazonian Activist Front responded to Paul Biya's invitation for Ambazonian activists to engage in their business. Let's go ahead and watch.
Ambazonians are not afraid to talk, and we will never be. The problem we have is with he who is pretending to be organizing dialogue in Yaoundé.
That thing for Yaoundé no be not dialogue. Now flashing. That man na chameleon. It change color. It want try to fool the world, but it no go fool we. We Ambazonians we too wise.
Ambazonia has nothing in any form or shape to do with issues of French Cameroon.
Nobody should trust the charade that is about to take place in Yaoundé.
A national dialogue to hold in Cameroon. A ceasefire must be declared by Mr. Paul Biya, withdrawing all his forces.
We reject in totality this charade, so-called Biya national dialogue. It's not for us.
The dialogue where we want na negotiation, where we negotiate between La République du Cameroon and the Federal Republic of Ambazonia South.
And denounce vehemently all machinations by La République du Cameroon to continuously conduct us to slavery and servitude.
Two countries cannot be having a problem, and you're talking of national dialogue. You also went further to say Cameroon is one and indivisible. This shows complete bad faith. So your call for dialogue to me was a sham, a complete sham.
Look, we are waiting for La République du Cameroon at the negotiating table after they must have finished with their national dialogue.
For any dialogue to be acceptable, it should involve the international community to address the root causes of the crisis. And the root causes of the crisis is the incomplete decolonization of democracy Southern Cameroons.
I am saying it to be fair. When it comes to the war of independence, there has to be negotiations via a third-party country, and there must be a guarantor who oversees the negotiations to make sure there will be implementation.
If we did talk about national dialogue, it means say we still get agenda with La Republic. We don't get no agenda. The only agenda we will get are the restoration for we statehood. So we go keep fighting and fighting. Whoever they go for that national dialogue, we not concern Ambazonia. So I want me we think and we think again. We don't already put we foot for pedal, and we go march and saute the day we independence go be fully restored, where we go fit control we land as it is.
Nothing to discuss with Paul Biya and his countrymen, because we are forging ahead to the foot of Mount Father. One love, one nation.
We, the Southern Cameroon's Activist Front, are of the opinion that there must be a third-party mediation on a neutral ground to guarantee free speech and the safety of everyone. This should be decided on by all the parties involved. Dear Ambazonians, we are at a very critical time in our history. Only the truth will set us free. Do not despair. Do not be deceived. anything in the name of a national dialogue without inclusive dialogue, which means getting everyone involved, releasing the detainees, getting a third-party mediation, it's just a joke. We wish you all well. Stay glued to the revolution and understand that we are going to succeed. Thank you all, and thank you enough. God bless Ambazonia. This is a special message from the Southern Cameroon's Activist Front.
The desperation of the Paul Biya regime and the confusion and their desire to create the fact that they are confused make them believe that in the same way they can set confusion among the Ambazonians, that we do not see through their gimmicks. Ambazonians have always stated the conditions for which they will interact with La République du Cameroon. Demilitarization of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, release of all hostages or prisoners of war held by La République du Cameroon, in the presence of a third party in a venue other than La République du Cameroon. That is the beginning of any kind of interaction between Ambazonia and La République du Cameroon. So without which there is no way humanly possible to discuss with a 20th century uncivilized nation like Cameroon. This is not an exaggeration. The actions of Cameroon throughout this since this conflict escalated has proven what some of us have always known about the Cameroon leadership and the Cameroon management, that it is an illiterate administration, it is uncivilized, and it is also very, very corrupt. So Cameroon has no possibility on its own to resolve any kind of crisis. Cameroon can only thrive. Any effort that Cameroon can succeed in or has succeeded in the past can only be with the help of international community. We all know how the Bakassi issue could not have been resolved if the international community did not get involved. That is how Cameroon can resolve conflict on their own. They are unable to do it. That is why this particular conflict between Ambazonia and the Republic of Cameroon will be resolved by the international community. Let's get that straight. Ambazonians make up like 20% of what Paul Biya considers one Cameroon today. And Paul Biya is calling for a national dialogue to involve the other 80% of his people to come and sit and bring their so-called problems and discuss it on a national dialogue. Of course, even Francophones think that it is a Biya-logue. Ambazonians believe it's a monologue. Because not only has Paul Biya predetermined the results and said Cameroon is one and indivisible, not only does he say the form of the state is not part of this deal, not only has he already prescribed the problems and said multiculturalism, bilingualism, and living together are the things that will be discussed, without even caring to find out what those communities have as their issues. He has already predetermined their problems. He's calling them on a national dialogue, and he has already given the result of such a dialogue. And yet he believes that Ambazonians are as stupid as his citizens and will fall for these pranks. He has gone ahead to put together a CPDM caucus as the dialogue panel. You can all imagine what this game is all about. So you have CPDM elites coming in from all over what they call Cameroon to discuss their national problems, whereas for the past 3 years, Cameroon has only had problems with Ambazonian. Cameroon does not have problem with the Northeast. Cameroon does not have problems with the Bassa. Cameroon does not have problems with the Beti. They have their electoral Camto issue, which most people try to define as a Bamileke issue. But we have seen so many times La République purport that Bamileke or the Western Province give their 1,000% support to him, Paul Biya. So on top of that, a conflict that has lasted, an armed conflict that many experts have described as the fastest growing humanitarian disaster in recent times. Paul Biya calls on 90% of his people to come and sit with selected 10% of so-called Ambazonian elites within 4 days to discuss and resolve the Ambazonian La République conflict. This is a joke. Now, I hope anyone interested in this conflict from the international community should just get this picture, and for themselves they will just laugh, because if this conflict could be resolved in 4 days, we will not be here. If La République had the capacity to solve any kind of issue, we will not be here either. They do not want to resolve the problem. The root causes of the Ambazonian La République du Cameroon crisis lie in the resolution 1608 of the United Nations, and that is the root cause of this problem, and it is an international issue. That is why, to be fair to Paul Biya, he cannot resolve it because it's an international issue. This issue that has an international component with the United Nations involved cannot be resolved by Paul Biya. Cameroon is a torn country within itself, and Ambazonians do not want to be part of this. At a time when 12-year-olds are busy fighting for the planet, environmental crisis that is rocking the world, and we have 12-year-olds fighting very hard to make sure that this planet is preserved. Paul Biya wants to keep Ambazonians in this cocoon of illiteracy and uncivilized mentality. Ambazonians reject that. We reject that, and we say we have moved past that era. Ambazonia is moving forward. We want to join the rest of the world in discussing global issues. So we will continue our move to liberate Ambazonia. La République can keep its national dialogue. Ambazonians have no business meddling in the internal affairs of any nation. And besides, even if a barbaric genocidal nation like La République du Cameroon invite Ambazonia will reject it because we do not associate with terrorist state. That is the position of Ambazonians, which we will not change until Cameroon changes its behavior. The future of La République du Cameroon and any kind of relationship with Ambazonia depends on how La République du Cameroon comports itself as it stands. Ambazonia and La République du Cameroon are parallel to each other, regardless of the fact that naturally we are neighbors and we cannot do anything about that but the fusion or interaction between La République du Cameroon is not existent and will continue to be like that for a while. Revolt update.